Imagine stepping outside into a world where the air itself feels solid. That is your first introduction to Oymyakon, Siberia. The moment you breathe in, it is not just cold, it is a physical assault. The air is so frigid, often plunging below -50 degrees Celsius, that it feels like inhaling millions of tiny, sharp needles. Your lungs immediately protest, a burning sensation that warns you this is no ordinary winter. Locals say you can hear your own breath freeze, a crackling sound they call the whisper of the stars. It is a constant, stark reminder that you are in a place where nature holds absolute power, and every single breath is a conscious act of survival against the elements. This initial shock is something you never truly get used to, but you learn to manage it. You learn to breathe through a scarf or the high collar of your jacket, creating a small pocket of pre-warmed air before it hits your lungs. Your nostrils feel like they are sticking together with every inhalation, and the delicate hairs inside freeze instantly. Your eyelashes gather frost within seconds, becoming heavy and white, blurring your vision until you blink the ice away. It is an environment that forces you to be constantly aware of your own body, to listen to its signals, and respect its limitations. This is not just a place on a map, it is a physical state of being, a challenge that begins with the simple, vital act of drawing air. The cold seeps into you in ways you cannot prepare for. It is a dry, biting cold that finds every gap in your clothing. Your saliva freezes on your lips if you are not careful, and any exposed skin feels like it is being pricked with pins before it quickly goes numb. The first dangerous sign of frostbite. The air is so thin and clean, yet it carries this immense weight of cold. You move differently here, with a deliberate slowness, conserving energy and warmth. Every action is calculated. Even speaking feels different, as the muscles in your face stiffen and your words seem to freeze and fall short in the dense, silent air. It is a lesson in humility, taught by the planet itself. This is the Pole of Cold, a name earned through brutal, record-breaking temperatures. The official lowest was -67.7 degrees Celsius back in 1933, but locals will tell you it has dropped even lower. Here, the cold is not just weather, it is the defining feature of life itself. It dictates everything, from how you dress to how you think. It sharpens your senses and forces a level of respect for the natural world that is often lost in modern life. The first breath you take in Oymyakon is more than just an intake of air. It is an initiation. It is the moment you understand that you are just a small, warm-blooded creature in a vast, frozen kingdom, and survival is a prize you must earn every single day. Getting to Oymyakon is an expedition in itself, a journey that tests both machine and spirit. The main route is a 2-day drive from the nearest major city, Yakutsk, along the infamous Kolyma Highway. This road has a darker name, the Road of Bones. It was built during the Stalinist era by Gulag prisoners, forced to labor in the most unforgiving conditions imaginable. Thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands, perished during its construction, their bodies buried beneath the very roadbed they were building. Each kilometer you travel is a silent tribute to the immense human suffering that paved the way to this remote corner of the world. It is a sobering, haunting start to the journey. The drive is relentless. You travel through a vast, empty wilderness of snow-covered taiga forest, where the trees, known as larches, stand like skeletal sentinels. Their needles drop in winter, leaving them bare against the endless white. The road itself is a treacherous ribbon of compacted snow and ice, winding through mountain passes and across frozen rivers. For much of the year, it is a slick, dangerous surface that demands intense concentration from the driver. A single mistake, a loss of traction, could send your vehicle sliding into a snowbank far from any help. The isolation is profound. For hours on end, you might not see another soul, just the stark, monochrome beauty of the Siberian landscape. The journey forces a reliance on your vehicle that is absolute. Cars here are specially adapted for the cold. They are fitted with double-glazed windows to stop the interior from frosting over completely, and their engines are often left running 24/7 when parked outside. Shutting off your engine in these temperatures is a huge risk, as the oil can solidify, the battery can die, and the metal can become so brittle that components crack. Drivers carry blowtorches and an arsenal of tools, ready to perform roadside repairs in mind-numbing cold. The trip along the Road of Bones is not just a drive. It is a continuous battle against mechanical failure in an environment that wants everything to stop. As you get closer to Oymyakon, the sense of entering another world intensifies. The villages you pass are few and far between, small clusters of wooden houses, with plumes of smoke rising straight up into the still, frigid air. You see the hardy Yakutian horses, with their thick, shaggy coats, foraging for frozen grass beneath the snow. These creatures are a symbol of the resilience required to live here. The history of the road, the sheer emptiness of the land, and the constant threat of the cold combine to create a powerful sense of reverence. You are not just traveling to a place, you are journeying through layers of history, hardship, and the raw, untamed power of the Siberian wilderness. Arriving in Oymyakon is almost anticlimactic. There is no grand entrance, no sign proclaiming welcome to the coldest village on earth. Instead, you simply find yourself in a small, quiet settlement, nestled in a valley between two mountain ranges. This geography is key to its extreme climate. The valley traps cold air, preventing it from escaping and allowing it to settle and intensify. The first thing that strikes you is the silence. Sound travels differently here. The dense, cold air muffles noise, creating a profound quiet that is broken only by the crunch of your boots on the snow, the distant bark of a dog, or the hum of a generator. It is a silence that feels ancient and absolute. The world here seems to lose its color. The landscape is a study in shades of white, gray, and the pale blue of the sky and shadows. The low winter sun, which only appears for a few hours a day, casts long, dramatic shadows, but offers little warmth. Everything is coated in a thick layer of hoarfrost: trees, fences, power lines, and houses. This frost, called kurjak by the locals, transforms the mundane into something magical and otherworldly, sparkling like diamond dust in the faint light. The village itself consists of a few hundred people living in simple, sturdy wooden houses, their windows glowing with a warm, inviting light that contrasts sharply with the frozen world outside. The visual landscape is dominated by smoke and steam. Every chimney pumps a thick column of white smoke straight into the sky, a visible lifeline showing that the homes are heated and people are surviving. When you exhale, your breath hangs in the air as a thick cloud of vapor. Cars emit dense plumes of exhaust that freeze and linger. This constant mist, known as ice fog or tumis in the local Yakut language, becomes particularly thick when the temperature drops below -40 Celsius. It can reduce visibility to just a few meters, creating a disorienting, ghostly environment where the world closes in around you. Navigating the village becomes a challenge of memory and instinct. Life in Oymyakon is stripped down to its essentials. The village has one main shop, a school, a small clinic, and a power station that is the heart of the community. If it fails, the consequences would be catastrophic. The remoteness is palpable. You are hundreds of kilometers from the nearest city, connected only by that one icy road. This isolation fosters a powerful sense of community and self-reliance. People here depend on each other in a way that is rare in the modern world. They are bound together by the shared challenge of living in a place that is both breathtakingly beautiful and brutally unforgiving. This is their kingdom, a silent, white world where survival is a collective effort. In Oymyakon, the laws of physics seem to bend in strange and dangerous ways. The extreme cold transforms everyday objects and materials, creating a unique set of challenges. Metal becomes incredibly brittle. If you drop a steel tool, it can shatter like glass. This is why mechanics and anyone working with machinery must be incredibly careful. Even touching bare metal with your bare skin is a serious mistake. Your flesh will freeze to it instantly, and tearing it away will rip off your skin. Locals learn from a young age to always wear gloves and to handle metal objects with the utmost respect. It is a fundamental rule of life in the Pole of Cold. Technology, which we rely on so heavily, struggles to function here. A modern smartphone, if taken out of a warm pocket, will see its battery die in a matter of seconds. The liquid crystal displays on cameras and other devices slow down and freeze, the pixels unable to change. To take a photograph, you have to work fast, taking the camera out for a moment before quickly hiding it back in the warmth of your jacket. Even the simple act of writing with a pen is impossible, as the ink freezes solid in the cartridge. Locals often use pencils, as the graphite is unaffected by the temperature. It is a place that constantly reminds you of the physical limitations of our digital world. Vehicles require special treatment to survive. As mentioned, many drivers leave their engines running for months on end during the winter. If they do need to turn them off, the car must be parked in a heated garage. Starting a frozen car is a long and arduous process that often involves using a blowtorch to gently warm the engine block, the sump, and other critical components. Tires become as hard as stone and can crack, and the rubber and plastic components of a vehicle become fragile. Driving is a carefully managed risk, and breaking down is not an inconvenience. It is a life-threatening emergency. Everyone carries a survival kit with warm clothes, food, and fuel, just in case the worst happens. Even the human body is not immune to these physical changes. The cold makes everything stiffen. Your joints ache, and your muscles feel tight. The risk of pulling a muscle or injuring yourself is much higher, but the most immediate and visible effect is on liquids. A cup of hot water thrown into the air will instantly vaporize and then crystallize into a glittering cloud of ice, a popular trick for visitors that demonstrates the sheer power of the cold. Wet clothes hung outside will freeze solid in minutes, becoming as stiff as a board. This phenomenon is actually used for drying laundry. The water freezes, and then the ice sublimates, turns directly from a solid to a gas over time. It is a slow process, but it works. A perfect example of adapting to the strange physics of this frozen world. The most obvious danger in Oymyakon is frostbite, but its onset can be deceptively subtle. It is not always a painful process. It often begins with a simple numbness, a loss of feeling in your fingers, toes, nose, or ears. This is the first stage, known as frostnip, where only the top layers of skin are frozen. If you do not get to warmth quickly, it progresses. The skin can turn white or grayish-yellow and feel waxy or hard. This is when serious damage begins, as ice crystals form inside your cells, destroying the tissue. Locals are experts at spotting the early signs in each other. A white patch on a cheek is a common sight, prompting an immediate warning to cover up or get inside. Beyond frostbite, one of the greatest threats is the simple act of getting lost, especially when the ice fog descends. This fog, a mixture of tiny ice crystals, can reduce visibility to almost zero. In these whiteout conditions, it is incredibly easy to become disoriented, even in a small village you know well. Familiar landmarks disappear, and the world becomes a uniform, featureless white. If you are caught outside, away from the main path, panic can set in. The danger is that you might wander off in the wrong direction, miss your own home, and succumb to hypothermia just meters from safety. Children are taught from a very young age never to wander far, and to follow the heated pipes that run above ground between buildings if they get lost. Hypothermia is the silent killer. It happens when your body loses heat faster than it can produce it, causing your core body temperature to drop to a dangerous level. The initial symptoms are shivering and chattering teeth, but as it worsens, the shivering stops. This is a critical warning sign. The victim may become confused, drowsy, and uncoordinated. They might make poor decisions, like trying to remove clothing because they feel paradoxically hot. Without immediate medical attention and rewarming, hypothermia will lead to loss of consciousness, heart failure, and death. In Oymyakon, this danger is ever present. A fall into water, getting your clothes wet, or being stranded outside for too long can quickly become a fatal situation. Everyday tasks carry hidden risks. Something as simple as taking out the rubbish requires careful preparation. You cannot just pop outside in your house clothes. You must put on your layers, your hat, gloves, and proper boots. Forgetting to do so for even a minute can be a costly mistake. Another danger is related to plumbing. Most houses in Oymyakon have outhouses because the ground is frozen solid, making it impossible to bury pipes for running water and sewage. A trip to the toilet involves a brisk walk through the extreme cold. It is a daily reminder of the constant, unyielding battle against an environment where a moment of carelessness or a simple accident can have the most severe consequences. Surviving in Oymyakon is an art form perfected over generations, and it all begins with the ritual of getting dressed. You do not just put on a coat, you build a fortress of layers around your body. The first layer against the skin is thermal underwear designed to wick away sweat. Moisture is the enemy, as it can freeze and dramatically lower your body temperature. The next layer is typically fleece or wool for insulation, followed by a final outer layer that is both windproof and waterproof. This layering system traps air between each level, creating an incredibly effective barrier against the cold. It is a slow, deliberate process that can take 10 to 15 minutes each time you prepare to go outside. Footwear is arguably the most critical part of the ensemble. Traditional boots, known as unti, are a popular choice. They are made from reindeer hide, with the fur on the outside, and are lined with thick felt. These boots are incredibly warm and durable, designed specifically for these conditions. Your choice of hat is equally important. You can lose a huge amount of body heat through your head. Fur hats with ear flaps, known as ushankas, are essential. Mittens are always preferred over gloves, as keeping your fingers together generates more warmth. Every piece of clothing is a carefully chosen tool, a piece of personal survival equipment that you entrust your life to every single day. Heating the home is another cornerstone of survival. The houses are built to retain as much warmth as possible, with thick walls and often triple-glazed windows. The heart of the community and each individual home is the central heating plant. This station burns coal or wood around the clock, pumping hot water through a network of massive, heavily insulated pipes that run above ground throughout the village. These pipes are a visual icon of Oymyakon, a tangible representation of the shared warmth that keeps everyone alive. If these pipes were to freeze, or the plant were to fail, it would be a village-wide emergency, and evacuation would be the only option. Preparing for any task outdoors, no matter how brief, requires mental and physical preparation. You must plan your actions to be as efficient as possible to minimize your time in the cold. You think about the tools you will need and arrange them so you can use them with your mittens on. You plan your route from one warm place to another. There is a local saying that goes something like, "There is no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing." This wisdom underscores the philosophy of life here. You cannot change the environment, so you must adapt yourself to it. Survival is about knowledge, preparation, and an unwavering respect for the cold. Daily life in Oymyakon carries on with a stoicism that is truly remarkable. For the children, school remains a part of their routine, but with one crucial rule. The school only closes if the temperature drops below -52 degrees Celsius for the younger pupils, or -56 for the older ones. On a warm day of -50, you will see small, bundled figures making their way to school, their faces peeking out from a cocoon of scarves and hoods. They are taught from birth how to handle the cold, and their playtime is limited to short, supervised bursts of no more than 20 minutes. It is a childhood unlike any other, where the thermometer dictates whether you can go out to play. A trip to the village's single shop is a major undertaking. The shop is stocked with essentials, but fresh fruit and vegetables are a rare and expensive luxury, as they are difficult to transport without freezing. The local diet is necessarily rich in protein and fat, which helps the body generate heat. Traditional foods include reindeer meat, horse meat, including frozen raw horse liver, a local delicacy, and lots of fish, like stroganina, which are thinly shaved slices of raw, frozen fish. People also rely heavily on ice fishing. They cut a thick hole in the frozen river, a task that requires a huge amount of effort to access the fish below. The catch freezes solid almost instantly upon being pulled from the water. The problem of plumbing is a constant feature of life. With the ground frozen permanently, permafrost, digging trenches for water and sewer pipes is impossible. As a result, most homes do not have indoor plumbing. Toilets are small wooden sheds, outhouses, located outside. This means that every call of nature involves a brave dash through the Arctic temperatures. Water for cooking and washing has to be collected in blocks of ice from the river, which are then brought inside to melt or delivered by a water truck. It is a laborious system that highlights just how many modern conveniences are rendered impractical by the extreme environment. Despite these hardships, a powerful sense of community and normality prevails. People visit their neighbors, celebrate birthdays, and gather for holidays. They have adapted their social lives to the conditions. Instead of meeting in a park, they meet in each other's warm homes. The shared struggle forges strong bonds. Everyone knows they are in it together, and helping a neighbor is not just a kind gesture. It is a fundamental part of the social fabric. This resilience and ability to find joy and maintain routines in the face of such overwhelming natural force is perhaps the most inspiring aspect of life in Oymyakon. The people of Oymyakon, primarily the Yakut people, possess a deep ancestral wisdom about living in their environment. This knowledge is passed down through generations, not in books, but in practical advice and local sayings. One such piece of wisdom is to dress in cabbage, referring to the importance of wearing many thin layers rather than one thick one. They know that sweat is a greater danger than the cold itself, and that managing moisture is key. They also understand the signs of the environment. The way the smoke rises from a chimney can tell you about the coming temperature, and the specific sound of crunching snow can indicate just how cold it is. This practical wisdom extends to every aspect of life. They have a saying: "The frost is not a foe to a wise man." It means that if you are prepared, if you respect the cold and understand its rules, you can live with it. It is only a foe to the foolish or the unprepared. This philosophy shapes their entire outlook. They do not complain about the cold. They accept it as a fundamental part of their world and focus on how to live within its grasp. This mindset is one of proactive adaptation rather than reactive complaint. It is a powerful lesson in resilience and accepting the things we cannot change, focusing instead on what we can control: our preparation, our knowledge, and our attitude. Living in Oymyakon teaches you about the true power of nature. In our modern, climate-controlled lives, it is easy to forget that we are at the mercy of our planet. Here, that reality is inescapable. The cold is a constant, tangible force that dictates the rhythm of life. It humbles you. It forces you to appreciate the simple things: a warm house, a hot meal, the company of others. It strips away the non-essential and focuses your mind on what truly matters for survival. The experience of being in such a place recalibrates your perspective on hardship and comfort, making you appreciate the incredible bubble of safety that most of the world lives in. Ultimately, Oymyakon is a testament to the endurance of the human spirit. The people who call this village home are not just surviving, they are thriving in their own way. They have built a community, raised families, and preserved their culture in one of the most hostile environments on the planet. They show us that humans can adapt to almost anything. Their lives are a powerful reminder that our strength is not found in conquering nature, but in understanding it, respecting it, and learning to live in harmony with its immense power. Oymyakon, the pole of cold, is more than just a geographical curiosity. It is a living lesson in what it means to be resilient, resourceful, and truly human.